Hi there. Thank you, Melina, for joining me today. We're talking about the Practitioner Profit Program. It can be found at truehealthdetective.com/practitioner. Um, I wanted to get your take on the program. You've been participating for a while now, and um, thank you for that. Your offerings to this group have been absolutely invaluable. Um, we all know that there's a huge, um, a huge library really of medical medium information. And one of the things that I get asked a lot is, how am I going to work through that? Does the program allow for me to, streamline things or understand how to use the medical medium information and protocols? And I just wanted to ask you what your experience has been with that, Melina.
Well, I feel like coming into the program, I already had it streamlined to a large degree through working with you one-on-one, but then taking that a step further and kind of still using the medical medium information as a foundation, but also thinking outside of the box too, and not limiting ourselves to, all the things that Anthony has said. And so being able to use that in conjunction with other things that kind of arose organically, which whether it was with us individually in the group or us collectively as a group, just the different things that came up, different topics. But no matter what came up, it did seem like, for the most part, everything was still supported by the medical medium information, like things were still in alignment. And so it kind of always came back to that. So having that foundation, having that understanding of those pieces, the medical medium information was really, really valuable. I think just in holding a container for the group, really, because most people were already coming from that place, right, before starting the group. But it definitely helped kind of solidify the things that we all found valuable and the things that worked for us, but also helped to clarify the things that we were seeing working with others as well, others that we might be working with. So I'm not sure. Does that answer your question?
It does. It does. I love that you said that, we still came from this very strong medical medium foundation, but we were not limited by it. One of the most important things to me is that we don't try and stick the medical medium information into a medical model as much as possible, because it's just really, why would we do that? It's so much bigger and so much more powerful in being able to take it out of the medical model and bring it into a model that's very holistic for us.
Right.
Yeah. So I appreciate what you're saying, because that to me is an important factor in what I wanted to present or what I wanted to be supportive of is dropping the model that doesn't work anymore and building a model that we could fit our foundational pieces into and then take it from there, right? So you're able to use the medical medium in a more efficient way. We had worked together for quite a while before you joined the practitioner program. But what about taking it into supporting others? Like, do you feel like you had a strong foundational way to do that, to take it to others that you were working with?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, whether it was paid clients or just those in my life, I definitely felt like the information that we had talked about as a group was super helpful. And then being able to bring any questions that I had to the table on our calls, whether it was about clients or friends or family, or even myself, being able to ask those questions and bring them up. And sometimes other women in the group contributed. And sometimes, you were the one who had something to say or an insight about what was going on. But always, and this was like the most important part too, like not just going to you for the answers, but like having us inquire within ourselves about what we were sensing, what we were picking up on as well, because that's a huge part of of the group was getting us to tune into our own intuition and our own wisdom, and also guiding those we were helping to do the same thing, because it's not about going to, you or some guru or teacher. It's about us all realizing we have this information, a lot of information accessible within ourselves.
Yeah, that's important to me because we don't want our clients to come to us forever.
Right.
We want to help them get to that place where they can maintain the work that they've done and then hear themselves, forevermore. So thank you for that very much. Because, as a practitioner myself, I always wanted to help as many people as I could without just, one and done. You've got to go figure it out. It's like we are helping people figure it out and then figure it out for themselves.
Right.
And be able to take that and run with it, which to me is really important because I'm not limited in how many people I can work with, and they're not limited in that they need somebody. We're tapping into our innate knowledge through this process.
Right.
I love it.
That piece of encouraging us to empower ourselves, and then going, passing it along, encouraging whoever we work with to empower themselves, and suggesting that they learn how to muscle test or use a pendulum to get these answers themselves, because it's invaluable, because we're not going to have these groups forever.
No. And yet
process that happens, and okay, then we move on and
exactly.
Worse.
Exactly. I love it. Okay. So that just brings me to your healing journey. Was the program pretty conducive to your process and your foundational understanding of yourself and your health and that throughout the time that we've worked together?
Absolutely. I mean, there were so many times throughout the past couple of years I've been so grateful for that group, because there's so many things that we experience that we feel isolated in experiencing, of course, through the healing, through being sick and, being literally isolated in your home, but also, even after you start to heal a good bit, there's still a lot of weird things that happen. And so being able to speak to those things and be able to relate to other women in the group, because there's so much that's not talked about. I mean, even in alternative health, even in holistic health circles, like a lot of the things that we're experiencing right now, energetically, especially, they're not talked about and they're not understood. And I mean, not to say that we completely understand them ourselves, but there's some amount of explanation or sense, or again, like through intuition, like we get a good idea about what we're experiencing. So like for me, a lot of the weird stuff I've experienced, energetically, like knowing that, okay, it's not because I haven't healed. There's something going on energetically right now. There's something that is really massive affecting all of us. And some of us just happen to pick up on it more.
Yeah.
And so being able to see those pieces was especially valuable to me. And then just picking up other tools, other things that, other people in the group were doing, especially the body code and emotion code. Those in particular were great additions to what I was already doing. And then other things, just even reminders of things that we already know or think we know. And then we hear again, it's like, okay, right. Yeah. Just returning to the basics sometimes. And, still, because when you start to feel really well, it's like I kind of forget sometimes. I'm like, oh yeah, like I just need to ground more. I need to keep hydrating, because like now I feel so well and I'm on the go, like I have so much to do. And then I'm like, oh, I didn't hydrate very well yesterday because I was out cleaning stuff up in the land, and like, so just these simple pieces that we can come back to as well. Yeah.
Do you feel like the program gave you a pretty strong overall understanding about how to have a practice when you choose to have a practice? Or, do you feel like it covered enough of the pieces to bring the puzzle together when it comes to being a consultant or a coach?
Yeah, I definitely feel like that. I mean, for me, myself, I did put all the pieces together as to what a program would look like for me to be a health coach, for me to have clients, take clients on. And set it all up and I used it for a period of time. And personally, I'm like, I'm not so sure like that's exactly where my destination is in terms of utilizing this information. But I was able to set it all up and I felt confident, with what I was given and what was shared. Especially just again, coming back to being able to come to the group with questions for support with others, like just having, somebody's experiencing something and like, I have an idea, but it'd be great to get the group's input because, more of us together, we know when we come together, we're just so much more strong. So, having that just as backup was really helpful. But yeah, I mean, there's so many moving pieces that you don't really realize until you start to do it, until you start to put a practice together. So having you there to, bounce ideas off of, or, Maureen, of course, and other women who have had practices, just having that there, because everybody's perspective is so different, it was so valuable and helpful.
Great. So what do you think, I know we've talked about lots of the pieces, but what were a couple of the pieces of the program that were most valuable to you? And I know you've already covered that in lots of different ways, but just as a last kind of thinking about what pieces might somebody else find valuable?
I
You
think
find valuable.
Coming back to beliefs and the mind and how much we're capable of shifting our reality, shifting our health, ourselves, our experience, just from a place of belief, realizing like the potential, but also the blockages that we create for ourselves through the mind.
Yep.
And just the simplicity of just and again, not just beliefs too, but like just all these different, the holistic nature of the group was perfect because we touched on everything, and you can't leave anything out. And that's what I see a lot of other people who are into natural health, kind of focusing on one area and leaving something out. And like people think, oh, health coach, it's like all about food or supplements. And like, yeah, no, that's a part of it for sure. But there's so much more. You have to think about the health of what it is to be human. And so to have all those areas just always in rotation, like it was not like, I mean, especially like over the last couple of years, I mean, yeah, like the energetics have been super high, but even then, like all the other pieces support the energetics as well. So I think the holistic piece as well, just being so holistic, just really and authentically holistic, not just holistic like a lot of people slap on these days. So yeah.
Yeah, there's a difference between a label and actual living model.
Right.
And we are, the program is about bringing that living model into life and being able to fit the pieces into it in a way that work. Melina, who would you recommend this program for?
Anyone who has already been using the medical medium information. It doesn't have to be for a super long period of time, but somebody who's been using it, seen the benefits of it, and wants to dive deeper, whether it's to learn more about their own process or to help others in whatever way they feel guided to.
Thank you for that. I know I have totally enjoyed bringing this program together and sharing the ways that I've done business and beliefs and all of the other pieces, being able to share with you all, how to put a foundational program together that you can help people with has been an absolute honor. And I love it. I love it. I feel like the most recent group that we've had is a lifetime group. Like we've come together in a way where we have a network that we can always rely on. and that we can support in return. So I'm again honored to be able to share the information that I have in the way that I do. And you have been such an amazing individual in bringing out such incredible information that's allowed us all to have a clue about what's happening these days and how we can navigate it. I really appreciate you sharing today. Is there any last words that you would share?
No, I mean, just basically, if you feel called, anyone who feels called to do this, if they feel drawn to this program, to do it. Just to do it if you're able to, because it's going to be probably everything that you're looking for and more. Yeah, it's so much more than a program. There's just so much more to offer than that. So I've loved it.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Again, we're sharing about the Practitioner Profit Program. You can find it at truehealthdetective.com. And again, thank you for sharing your time and your sharing about this with us today.
Well, thank you for sharing your knowledge and your time.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Have an amazing day, Melina, and we'll talk soon, okay?
Okay.
Okay.